Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm continuing a live stream video in Enchanted Christmas coloring book. We started this color along on Friday's live stream, so we're going to just carry on with it today and just have some fun. So we're doing this beautiful page here. Now I've based most of it in markers, in alcohol markers. I was using the Ohuhu markers, and today I'm going to just swap over to pencils and I'm going to build up the color, add some highlights, and we'll see how it goes. It should, in theory, be a little bit easier and quicker than if I was using just pencils only, but we will see. So if you're new to the channel, a big welcome. If you have been around for some time, it's great to see you, it's great to have you. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. So I'm going to work on these trees. I've got my Prismacolors on the side. I've got them in a complete mess, but I'm sure we'll figure something out and it will be good. So I'm going to pull out a gray-green light for a highlight, and I think I'm going to change things up a bit and use a peacock green for the shadows, and we'll just see how it looks. Let's see, we'll have a play and I'll try zoom you in a bit more. So the whole point of using markers is to just remove the white of the paper, and it makes it a little bit faster to color in because we don't have to build as many layers. So I'm using peacock green, and then I'm going to bring in the gray-green light for a highlight. So I quite like that color combination. So I hope you are all well. Are you ready for Christmas? If you are participating in Christmas, we have a Christmas function coming up. So tomorrow I'm going to be really busy baking and cooking and all of that. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, tomorrow is a busy day. We've got people coming over. So I'm swapping over to my gray-green light, and also by changing the color of the paper using Ohuhu markers, it does help your lighter colors to just stand out more. Okay, then alternate gray-green light. So now I'm going to use my grey-green light again. So I thought it would be worthwhile mentioning Prismacolor Pencils. So the Prismacolor people, they are making a change to the set of Prismacolor pencils. They are no longer going to be making the lavender and the lilac pencils. They are going to be replacing them with a different type of pencil. So they'll still be Prismacolor pencils, but that specific shade of color is no longer going to be available. It's got something to do with the pigments. I think the pigments that they use for the lilac and the lavender is quite a challenge to come by. So they're changing things up, and they're going to replace those two colors gradually over time. And they will give us, I think, an amethyst, and I don't remember what the other one is called. I think the one name is definitely an amethyst. So that may or may not be good news for you, depending on if you use those colors. For me, it's not too much of an issue. I don't often use lilac and lavender. I am using it a little bit more, but I'm just more of a, I'll just adapt and change as needed. So at least now, you know, if you're replacing your single colors, you may have a supplier, and if you see the lilac and the lavender in stock, maybe it's worthwhile grabbing some open stock and just stocking up while they still have them available. But if not, just be aware that the lilac and the lavender are going to be out of fashion soon. There are some of the YouTube colorists, they have mentioned this also on their YouTube channels. So I think it's, I don't remember if it's Colorfully Optimistic or My Colorful Country Life, but I think one of them has written a community tab on their channel listing the change in the Prismacolors and also which pencils they're going to be changing to, the name of the colors. So you can always go check out their channels as well. So I want to create these leaves quite bright because my background is quite dark. So I've planned our meals for Christmas, and on Christmas Eve we're going to just sit down and play some games, have some like snacky foods. So that could be quite a lot of fun. And then what I've been doing is every Christmas I try and buy a new game for us to play as a family. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to, is the new game that I've bought for us to play. So how shall we do this today's live? how about if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, we can make it like a bit of a questions and answers type live video. I'm just coloring in leaves at random. I quite like that color combination. I think it works quite well. So I'm just bringing in 70% warm grey just for some of these deeper shadowed areas. And I just want to deepen up some of these, and it just will add a bit more texture and depth to the picture. And then after we've done these leaves, I think we'll move on to the berries, and yeah, it will should look really, really nice when we're done. So I thought during the holidays I will carry on with Tuesday lives and Friday lives, but then after the holidays most likely drop down to just a Friday live. I'm really looking forward to colouring a bit more in the mythographic books. I want to tackle that Frozen Fantasies, and I'm quite keen to use the Castle Art watercolour pencils. Either that or I'll use Inktense. Now, as far as I've heard, Inktense works quite well on the Creative Haven books, so that is another thing I'm thinking of testing and doing in a video soon, is colouring in here with the Inktense pencils and seeing how it works. Hi Irene, hello from the UK. It's great that you're from Australia. Yes, you can use other colors other than white for highlights. It really just depends on the type of highlight you are after. And I find the grey-green light it really is so light. There have been times where I've thought it was a white pencil. I've picked it up and I've used it as white. So yeah, it is quite an easy one to use. You can also use like a cream. Cream works quite well. It just depends entirely on your color palette. But because we use the Ohuhu markers to create a base, it's also allowing the grey-green light to really stand out against the to really stand out, and that's also what's working well for us right now. And I think that's why you will find quite a few colorists, they use different toned paper because they like the way the color pops. So I'd say your neon colors, your pastel colors would most likely work really, really well against darkened paper, whether it's toned paper or you've gone over it with a dark alcohol base. or marker base. But normally on like white paper, the pop, the wowness of the lighter pencils actually gets quite lost. Actually, that might be something I'll do in the future, is I'll print or copy a picture onto toned cardstock. So just different colored cardstock, because I buy quite heavy cardstock, around at least 90 grams or 90 GSM. So I can definitely do one of those, and then you guys can see the way the toned paper reacts and what it does to pastels. And I can create like a pastel sort of palette. I think that could actually be a very cool video to do. Now this one here I'm going to make quite white, because the moon, I wanted to try and shine out a bit, so it looks more like an ornament, but it's also a moon at the same time. So I want to try and see if I can get it to be quite bright. So I'm just swapping between the Peacock green, the 70% warm grey, and the grey-green light. And I'm not doing too many layers, because really don't need to, with having done a marker base. It really works well to speed coloring up. The other thing that I'm hoping to start coloring in January is a bit more in Fragile World. There's some lovely winter pages there. There's just two. I think it's the Red Panda and the Snow Leopard. So I want to do at least one of those this year, well, in the new year. So I think January, whatever Christmas pictures I don't wrap up in December, I will definitely finish in January, and then I'll go on to Fragile World and the mythographic books. So what do you like to color in January? Are you seasonal colorists? I can't believe how quickly December's gone. The years just seem to go so quickly. What's nice with Enchanted Christmas, you don't have to stick to realism. You can create your own sort of colors, or you can deviate from one color to, you know, you can play around, and I think that that's really adds a lot of fun to coloring when we can just break out of our comfort zones and color along something totally randomly different and beautiful. And we get some surprises like this gray-green light working so well on this color palette. Hi Cindy, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining us. Have you had a lot of snow in Minnesota? You like to stick to the seasons. That's so cool. Yes, I will definitely have a look at the red panda. I love red pandas. The only one I've ever seen is at a zoo, but they are really sweet, and I think they're amongst one of my favorite Asian creatures. I will definitely have a plan. I've already been thinking with that red panda page, even the snow leopard, I'm going to do the same background, and I'll probably use Inktense pencils. I find they work really well in Kirby books. So, and then I will do, yeah, I think the background in Inktense and then pencil work for the panda. I think will look really, really nice. Alright, I think I'm going to leave the rest of the leaves after I've done these ones, and I'm going to move on to the berries because I've shown you the idea behind it, and it's quite really easy to just go ahead and colour them in. Now, if you have acrylic paint or gouache paint, you could always paint the moon, or even if you have sort of those shimmery paints, what are they called? Pearlescent or metallic type paints, you could paint your moon. So that's the idea for the leaves. So if I show you the berries, which again won't be too difficult, so we'll leave the orange, and I'm just going to come in with some reds. So I'm going to use Crimson Lake, Scarlet Lake, and most likely a 70% grey. Oh wow, Cindy, that's so cold. Gosh. We've turned back into rainy weather, so the little bit of snow and ice that we had has now melted away. But when we did have the little bit of snow we got, I did look and go, oh, if I wished it would carry on snowing. But you know, it doesn't always work out that way. But that's really cold, 3 Fahrenheit, wow. Do you guys just stay indoors, or how do you handle the cold? The reason I ask is I'm not used to snow or cold temperatures, so I don't really know how one would handle that sort of weather. I mean, if it gets to below 0 Celsius, it's already like hibernate indoors and not do much. So I'm using the Crimson Lake. And I'm not going to use a whole lot of it, just a little bit. So if I use the cream, I can create a highlight. And there you can, again, you can see how the colored paper just sharpens the highlight. So Scarlet Lake. Yeah, I must say, a white Christmas is totally different to a tropical Christmas. When we had the snow we had last week, and it was around, I think the max we were getting was about 4 degrees Celsius. So I said to the boys that growing up in the tropics, seeing snow on the trees, on the bushes, is just unreal, because you know, it's just not what you're used to, and it just looks magical. until you're walking around and you're almost slipping on the ice. Wow, that's so beautiful, Cindy. Yeah, I can't imagine a white Christmas. So cool. Alright, so I'm really just using Scarlet Lake. I'll deepen it up with a deeper red, and I'm using the cream as a highlight because it's just working so well, so might as well just keep using it. So then bring in some Crimson Lake. So if you don't want your berries too dark, then stay away from your darker greys, or even your black cherry, black grape, and just stick to slightly darker reds, and you'll still have nice beautiful berries. Okay, so that's how I would finish the berries. So I'll do the last few bits of berries on my own. Right, so let's do the moon. I think I'm going to just zoom you out a tad bit so you can see the whole moon. Now what I want to do is I want to get it so that the moon is kind of like glowing. So I think I'm going to deepen the middle and have it lighter on the both edges, so it's kind of shining out a bit. So I think for that I'm going to use my Canary yellow. I'll most likely use cream, and then I'll probably use white, which is here. And I'm just going to keep my sharpener close by so that I can keep my pencil sharp. Wow, Cindy, that's crazy cold. I didn't realize Minnesota had weather that sort of varied between warm and snow seasons. I always thought Minnesota was right up there with, you know, being cold, and like you would get snow a lot more than you would not get snow. It's just really interesting. So I'm using Canary yellow, and I'm just going to go in the middle of it, and I'm trying to use like a circular motion. So I've never done a yellow moon. I've always just stuck to round moons, and I've made them white and grey. But I thought this time it'd be nice to try and, you know, branch out, create a yellow moon. Hello Katrina, how are you? It's great to have you. Okay, now I'm going to use my cream. I'm trying to try and blend it in and out. I might not even need to use the white. You can always use a white paint pen and just go over the black lines. So if I bring the canary yellow into this and just blend as I go, so I'm alternating between cream and canary yellow so that I can create a smooth blend. Hi Dawn, how are you? Oh, that's interesting, Katrina, that you struggle with yellow pencils. Interesting. I must say, I don't use yellow as much as I probably should. What I've noticed with yellow is it can be a bit tricky to really get that depth going, you know, getting your highlights and your, especially your shadows. I find the highlights isn't too bad, but it's the shadows. Right, where her bottom is, well, I think she's sitting on it as a swing, so we'll give it a slightly lower highlight. We'll increase this one here. I'm glad that you are well, Dawn. I hope that everyone's ready for the holidays. I have one more gift I need to get, and it's for my husband. So I need to do that on Friday. but I hate Christmas shopping close to Christmas. It gets so manic. Well, I hope that the shops aren't too chaotic for you, Dawn. My worst is driving and parking the car, because it's like the moment you get near the stores and you have to go into the parking and park, it's just like, I don't know, something happens and people just don't drive nicely anymore. I remember when I first got my driving license, the first Christmas after that, and I did Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve, and the parking was a nightmare, and I couldn't wait to get home so that I could just be off the road, as it was just, yeah, chaos. Not my idea of fun. I wonder if we use some yellow ochre in the middle here, that will help. Just give it a bit more. And then I'll go over it again with the Canary yellow, or maybe I'll go over it with Deco yellow. Yeah, I hear you. It's probably wiser that you don't go shopping yourself. Although these days with, you know, things like Etsy and Amazon and all the different ways you can get things delivered, it's so handy that in some ways one doesn't need to worry about entering a shop. Just more about getting the timing right, you know, when the packages get delivered. So I'm going over this with Deco yellow. I'm just trying to blend it out a bit. And then I'll try the Canary yellow so I just don't lose any of this brightness. Now, if I take a white Sakura jelly roll, and if I come along here, You could use acrylic paint for this and just paint it on. Now what you can do if you have an alcohol blender and you want to blend out the moon a bit more, you could use an alcohol blender, so it's a marker blender, and just blend it out that way. So yeah, so we just put the acrylic, the white paint or the white pen over the black edges of the black lines. You could even use a white Posca pen for this. And if you need to rotate the book, whatever works to just color comfortably. I mean, rotating the book is often helpful because you can get the right perspective, or just even angle your hand the right, in a more comfortable way. Okay, so something like that. Now they're going to have a garland, so they've got holly leaves and holly berries for their headdress, or whatever it is they're wearing on their head. So let's use some true green and some dark green. And then dark green. And then we'll use gel pens for the berries. And we can use some Deco yellow for the tips. So just a couple of layers. And then what I'll do is I'll make them the same. Then Deco yellow. Bye Irene, have a good day. Hope that work is good for you. Happy Christmas. Hi Leslie, how are you? How did your live go? I saw before I hopped on you were hosting a live stream on your channel. How did it go? Okay, so that's their garlands. So now I'm going to come in with some Deco Peach, and I'm going to start doing their skin. Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm glad it went well though. It was one of those moments when I saw you were on live and I was like, oh, I want to go watch. But then it was clashing with me doing this one, so hopefully I can catch one of your other lives. I'm trying to work out if I should give her stockings or not, or pantyhose. In South Africa we call pantyhose stockings, so it can get a little confusing knowing which is the correct way to say. Okay, so now I'm going to use some Nectar. You don't have to do very fancy skin work here. It doesn't really require a lot of fancy skin work. Okay, now I'm going to use a bit of, I think I'm going to use some cream. The slower you do skin and the more care you give it, the smoother your blend will be. So it is worthwhile, even on small little figures like these, to just go slow and steady. What is the Spanish word for socks? I don't remember. I did a bit of Spanish. I've taught myself a little bit of Spanish here and there, and my Portuguese is quite rusty. And I'm trying to remember what the word for socks. It's probably one of those. I'll have to Google it. So this is light umber now, and I'm just using it to deepen up the shadowed areas. Salsa. I thought salsa was like the tomato relish that you put on like your nachos and that sort of thing. Calcetinas, yes, I've heard of that one. Oh, la medla. Wait, la media. Calcetines. Okay, yeah, that rings a bell. Well, that's cool. Right, so now I'm going to go over that with the Deco Peach. What I like with the light umber is it's got that yellowish tinge to it, so you can use it to darken things up, but you still keep that yellow tinge. It's always fascinating how different languages can have similarities even though they're different. that's cool, Katrina. Leslie. I don't know. I'll put both salsa, calcentines, and la media into my Spanish files, and if I ever go visit New Mexico or Mexico, I'll try them out and see which one works. But I suppose Spain's Spanish would probably be different than Mexico Spanish. Yeah, I like salsa with nachos, and if you add some chilies in that, that's really yum. Alright, so this is dark brown for just those final deep highlights. Not highlights, sorry, shadows. My brain is tired. Ah, yes. Wasn't New Mexico and Texas part of Mexico way back in the 1800s? Because I remember, so I'm trying to remember my American history. I was homeschooled and we did an American curriculum. So if I remember rightly, correct me if I'm wrong, the American government at that time, they had a whole lot of conversations and they were in talks with the Mexican government, and anyways, they paid Mexico and got a portion of the land, and I think it was somewhere in the 1800s that Texas decided it wanted to break away and it wanted to become part of the United States. And then I think after that, that New Mexico, that other portion, what's there, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, didn't they, and California get added into American territory? I'm trying to remember my history now. So pardon me if I get it wrong. Okay, so let's give them some nice beautiful brown here. Ah, yes, okay, cool. Okay, so I'm using light umber. I liked history. History was a really fun subject for me in school. And American history I found always was so much fun. But then, you know, I go over it as well with the boys. I'm trying to have them do world history. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm glad you have a beautiful influence of culture. It's so important. I love the way the Native American Indians are both artistic but also so in touch with the world around them, you know, as far as like nature goes and that sort of thing. I find it very inspiring.